Good morning. This bleak black rock behind me here is a 800-year-old lava flow in Sunset Crater National Park. And I stopped here to talk today because the movie I'd like to talk about takes place in a rather bleak-looking landscape much like this one. It's technically not an anime, though it has enough CGI-enhanced special effects to make it animation. But it is by a very famous anime director. Director Mamoru Oshii has created both animated and live-action movies. Most of you are probably more familiar with his Pad Labor or Ghost in the Shell movies than with his live-action movies. But today I wanted to discuss his latest film, which is a live-action movie with some animation, with the odd title of Assault Girls. In the not-too-distant future, gamers can totally immerse all their senses into a virtual reality game world. This is a return of sorts to the concept of Oshii's 2001 film Avalon, though there are no characters or events that are carried over. Avalon F is the new virtual game world, a bleak volcanic landscape like this one, populated by giant worms, which this one isn't. There are 4 gamers currently hunting in this field, each working independently, hoping to bag the boss worm and move up to the next level. Jaeger is the only male of the group, a stubborn, plodding fellow with a really big gun on his shoulder. Gray uses a plane to hop around looking for her targets, but takes her shot from the ground with a rifle. She's the aggressive organizer of the bunch. Colonel is likewise a gunner. She sometimes uses a mechanical robot for her guns, though. Lucifer is the oddity of the lot, a character who can transform into a large bird that shoots lightning. When she's not fighting worms, her behavior is even more bizarre. She does little dances and never speaks. I think she's been hooked into VR for a bit too long. You'll notice I only discuss the gaming avatars. Assault Girls takes place entirely within the game world, and the people behind these characters remain totally unknown to us. All 4 of these players have come to realize that they'll never get the boss worm by playing solo. So at the prodding of the unseen, disembodied game master's voice, they'll get organized into a party. But first they'll have to agree to a strategy and how to split the loot. They'll conduct their gaming in a surprisingly slow and deliberate manner. This isn't a game where you have to take down 50 ninjas in a minute. I might even have the reflexes to play Avalon F. The director concentrates on visual images, at different times posing each of his 4 characters against the gaming landscape in some vaguely heroic pose. These look good in stills, but they seem to linger far too long for what they add to a motion picture. And since this isn't animated, I don't think he's conserving budget either. At one point, the story uses a snail to chronicle each of the characters' reactions to finding the small animal. It's as close to character development as the movie gets, and it has some humor to it as well, but it's risky to concentrate on a snail crawling along a rock in a movie that moves this slowly. Some snarky reviewer might get an idea for a metaphor. By the way, I'm going to assume Oshii doesn't do much camping out. Real eggs are really, really hard to backpack. Powdered eggs work well, but you can't make them sunny side up. I guess in virtual reality, just about anything is possible for breakfast. The story is pretty simple. It's the template from Akira Kurosawa's 7 Samurai. Assemble a team of people with different backgrounds and skills for a single specific job, and then go do it. Oshii's earlier Avalon movie was a twisty little movie that flipped between a bleak European game world of tanks and helicopters and an equally bleak real world inhabited by its star player. It had moments of action, dramatic contrast, and high suspense. Assault Girls, in contrast, plods along at a lethargic pace and to no particular point that I can see. One personal duel between Gray and Jaeger runs 4 rounds, and none of the hand-to-hand bouts are in the least bit exciting or visually interesting. Assault Girls has more humor than Avalon, but it feels like a 20-minute shaggy dog story spread out over 70 minutes that feels even longer. Visually, the background landscape is old volcanic lava flow, augmented by computer-generated game constructs. The Avalon controls, which look like computer graphics, and the giant worms, which look reasonably real until they're destroyed. Even here in CGI, it doesn't seem like the same care was used in animating those monster deaths. The computer graphics of Avalon may have been made a decade earlier, but they were more visually interesting than they are here. There's not a lot of dialogue in this movie, and almost all of it is in English, the official language of the game Avalon. I thought Avalon used Polish. Anyway, there's only one scene of the characters speaking in their native Japanese. The narrator speaks flawless English. The player characters have Japanese accents, and they can hard to understand when they're speaking through their air masks, so the American DVD release has thoughtfully subtitled their English as well as their Japanese. The one prolonged speech, an almost Oshii trademark, is right at the opening narration, where the director expounds in the voice of the narrator on his post-Marxian future dialectic. Socialism will meet capitalism, and stagnation will ensue. As with most of Oshii's films, live action or animated, the movie is provided by Kenji Kawai. The plot doesn't call for much in the way of drama, mystery, or tension, so the most memorable tune is the little dance that Lucifer does. Kawai has also borrowed some of the original themes from his Avalon movie 10 years earlier. I was hoping for a worthy successor to that original Avalon, and so I was disappointed in Assault Girls. I can only give it 2.5 stars because I found it boring. Since Assault Girls uses the same setting as Avalon, the comparison to its predecessor is inevitable and not flattering. At the same time, I feel like giving myself only 1 star for being disappointed. Mamoru Oshii is a serious director, and I don't think he'd spend the time and money to make a film without some purpose, and it saddens me that I can't discern his purpose here. Thanks for watching.